Hey everyone, just wanted to stop by real quick for this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Clouser, so they're the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
Oh my God.
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Clouser.
All right. What is going on, everyone? How are you? We are here on a new episode of the Juan Solo Show with your host, me, Juan D. Clouser, John D. Clouser, whichever one you prefer. If you're an English speaker, if you only speak English, you can call me John D. Clouser. If you speak Spanish, or if you're, So if you want to be Hispanic, then you can call me Juan, or Juanito, even though you'd be like, ¿Por qué Juanito? It's because it's always funny. I'm like, I don't know, this was my nickname, and it's just kind of stuck. And once you see me, and then once you hear that I'm my nickname's Juanito, you're kind of like, oh yeah, you kind of look like Juanito. You look like a Juanito. So we're just gonna go with that. So I was like, it's fuck, dude, you think I want that nickname? That means Little John. It means I'm like a little kid. It's you think I want to have that be my nickname? But God damn it, look at me. So I just go with that. I'm and it's funny. It's worked well. I've used it many of times for character name. It's unique. It's different. You've heard it, but you haven't heard it a lot. It's not it's not like a Jake or a a Michael or a Mike. Chris. These names you've heard a lot, so you're just ugh, it's whatever. Juanito, you're okay, what is that? Juan, John, then Ito, you might be okay, what does the Ito mean? But you're you might not speak Spanish, so you might be oh, whatever, just mean, oh, it just means some Spanish word, or Mexican word. It's what's so funny is sometimes I'm John, you can say things like that. You can say spick. Spick is not a drug. It's derogatory, yes. But it's not. But to you can say it. Or Beaner. Beaner was always the one that I heard a lot growing up, because it was I heard Beaner, and then I heard Beaner, Spick, Wetback, and then Lazy Mexican. And Lazy Mexican was just referred to as all Hispanic people or Latino people. So I don't know. Do you know the difference between being Hispanic and being Latino? So being Hispanic is that you speak Spanish and you're of Latin descent, and then being Latino, that means you are from Latin descent, but English is in your language. So I think I'm pretty sure it's just dedicated to if you're Hispanic, you only speak Spanish and you don't even speak English. But Latino is you speak both, but it's No, I thought I spelled beer on me. It's interchangeable. It's the only thing that's really weird that I've never understood and I just will never get is LatinX. Bro, I don't make the rules to this, and I understand we're trying to be inclusive, and I understand that, but it's dude, this whole language is based around having male and feminine, and you cannot literally tell me that you cannot look at me right in the eye and tell me that you can tell your abuela that, I'm Latinx now. And she's going to legitly fucking agree and be no. She's, no, Miguel. No, Miguel. No, Juanito. No, you ain't going to do that. No. Out there, you do what you want. Out there. But when you come here to my house, my casa, you are a boy or you a girl. There's no Latin, no Latino, Latina. It's it. There's none of this other X shit. And come on, you cannot tell me that that's not how your grandmother's going to deal with that stuff. Come on, no. Because I've even asked my Latin grandmother, my Latina grandmother, and she was no. She was no. You're Juanito, not Juanita, not Juana, nothing. You're Juanito, Juan, Wilmar, you can be Wilmar. Actually, that's, if you didn't know, Wilmar is actually my birth name, and my Spanish family. They know me as Wilmar, or they'll call me Juanito. They don't ever call me John. They're like, that's your other family. That's your American family, your adopted family. No, I think it's a respect thing. I think it's because like they know you as that, like, and we want to know you as this, and then that's just kind of, there's just this middle ground. And I'm just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna sit here, be here. But yeah, so interesting thing, right? Just getting this little fucking podcast started. So, did you guys know a little interesting fact? Did you guys know that the only mammal, or do you know? Let me ask you this: do you know what mammal? I'm gonna ask you this question. Then I'm gonna take a drink for my cerveza. And so, do you guys know the only mammal that don't have vocal cords? Do you know? I'm gonna take this drink, and then you can think about it, and then I'll have the answer to it. Isn't that gross? I absolutely hate, one of the worst things in the world, I absolutely hate listening to people like drink or eat in the microphone. It's one of the worst things in the world. It's always been a huge pet peeve of mine. I remember doing sound engineering, being a sound engineer for podcasting way back in the day, back when podcasting was just kind of a thing you did in houses. And the thing is, like, then like people would they would be sitting there, and if you didn't like mute the microphones, because like they would be sitting there waiting for the show to start, because we would have we're getting everything pre-rolled, getting the lights, camera set up, all that kind of stuff. Like, they're just there just to block pretty much. And so, we're like, yeah, if you need to eat some lunch or you need to drink something, like, please do it. But they're right by a microphone, just like this. And so you can just hear. I'm gonna answer the mammal question. Don't worry. But you just hear it, so it's like, oh, and so it's like I always have to remember. That's the reason why if you don't notice, I go way up out of here, and it seems on the camera, it seems extremely dramatic. Extremely, like, why are you doing such a dramatic drink? But the reason behind it is because I'm literally trying to get far away from the microphone. So then by the time I turn my head and I'm back down to speak again, because I'm not going to say anything with beer in my mouth. It's going to be all swallowed, and there's not going to be any of that sound in the throat, that's the grossest thing. I don't know what about it. To me, it's gross. So if I think it's gross, why would I want to do it to other people? And plus, I can hear it. So I don't, anyway. Anyway, so the answer to the question about the mammal thing is that giraffe. Once you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Like, it's like, okay, because like think about how long that neck is. Like, would the vocal cords be like, I guess vocal cords, but you would assume, because the vocal cords is kind of like the length of the neck, right? So an animal with such a large neck like that, there'd be no need to have vocal cords. But isn't that crazy? Isn't that insane? Like, such a large animal literally makes no sound. Because then if you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, you've never seen a video with a giraffe making any noise. But anyway, the reason why I found that out, anyway, I need to cut that out. John, like, why are you still like so hyped? Like, it's almost like 9 minutes into this podcast. Like, you should be fucking chilled and relaxed at this point. You're just excited to get this podcast done. It's actually almost like, well, this is the last thing I got to do for the day. Once I get this done, I'm done. I've been on fucking set all day. I had to go get a car. It was just been a long, crazy day. So it's like, but I'm thinking like, okay, 20 more minutes and I can chill and then, play Madden or something. I don't know, maybe. Probably wouldn't have just editing. Anyway, so, anyway, get them all out, John. Get them all out now. Jeez, Jesus. Like, what's the thing, like, Moses smelled the roses? That's another good one. Like, instead of Jesus, like, I like Moses smelled the roses. I think it's a little bit better than just saying Jesus, because even though I'm Jewish, like, I have no disrespect towards Jesus. Like, I have no problem with him. Like, I just don't think he's the Messiah. So, like, that's really, I mean, should I be saying that on a podcast? Like, will I get canceled at some point because of this? Somehow, like I'm like, look at my hair, look at my nose, look at me. I have a cross. I wear a fucking Star of David necklace, so it's just like just makes more sense. Like Hanukkah and Passover is soon. Like it's like Hanukkah's not soon, John. It's still a bit of time. And out of all the other Jews I've met, right? And I shouldn't even say I'm Jewish. I should say I practice Judaism because I'm Latino. I'm Honduran Egyptian. So like I feel like I shouldn't say that too. I feel like I'm just like saying too much, and I think it's a little rude somehow. I really do. I feel like it's rude because it's like I feel like I'm like just dipping, like I'm taking a chip and I'm just like dipping in so much sauces at one time, and now there's cheese sauce in the salsa. And you're just like, why did you do this, John? Like, couldn't you just be chill about it? And it's like, you should just be chill. But that's always my mindset with a lot of trying to be. And so, yeah, like, it just, yeah. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the reason why I knew that, and the reason why I know about the whole draft thing, so I was at work. And we have these stupid ass meetings at my job, which I absolutely hate. But I didn't realize at this meeting that we were having our, like corporate people coming in from corporate. And so I'm sitting there, we're all sitting there and like, hey, today what we're going to do is like, it's kind of like a chill time. There's no big thing. Like we don't really like the reason why I don't like it is simply because we don't like touch base on anything. We just sit there. And then we either like play trivia or like we answer riddles, and I just feel like I'm in fucking fourth grade again, and it's just stupid to me. And I feel like I just feel like I'm being treated like I'm ignorant. It's like, dude, I'm more capable of more things. Like you can challenge me if you want. It's like, and it's like, oh, so like I understand why these kids sometimes like growing up, why like the smart one, that smart kid who was really smart, but then you act up. It's like, oh yeah, I get why you act up now because you're just so fucking bored. It's like you're just simply bored. Like that's all it is. It's just, or you have ADHD. Maybe I have ADHD, maybe ADHD, and I'm just like, why am I here? Like I could be doing so many other things. More productive things. I'm like, shouldn't you be? You're paying me to sit here doing this right now. Like, what are we doing? And so we're doing some trivia stuff. So like they're asking stuff like, like how many hearts does an octopus have? And I'm like, oh, that's easy, 3. And like they're asking, like what's a female mule? It's like a Ginny. It's like it's not that difficult. Answer like that, in like the vocal cords of the mammal of the giraffe, and like I was just getting these answers right. I didn't get the giraffe one right because I was like trying to think. I'm like, maybe it was like, because in my mind I was thinking maybe it's like some sort of mouse, and they're gonna get you on a predicality where it's like a very specific mouse instead of like just a generic mouse. Because like when you think of something like that, you'd be like, okay, oh, like no, this very specific like June bug, Eastern Indian mouse, they don't have vocal cords, and that's how they're going to get you, or something like that, versus like a simple fucking giraffe, which just makes way more sense. Which way more sense of like, oh yeah, that animal, like, yeah, that doesn't have you've never seen it because it doesn't happen because it can't. It's like duh, and so I'm sitting there and like then my boss was like, John, like how do you know all these things? I'm like, and I just like I wasn't even thinking because I was just kind of like just kind of like in my own world, and I was like, well, back in college I used to smoke a lot of pot and I read a lot, so I just that's just what happened. It's just so I just know a lot of random fucking trivia. Like I'm full of random shit, and I even that shouldn't have said that because that makes me sound like such a fucking douche. Like God, like it was the only thing I could have done worse in that moment was pull like acoustic guitar and been like, well, I understand that, you're telling me that deep, like, emotional moment, and you're telling me that, like, I helped you, but you want to hear the song I wrote? Like, that would have been the only thing that could have been worse in that moment. And I apologize. I really do. It's like, like, I know a lot of trivia. Like, okay, John, why don't you get on fucking Jeopardy, you cunt? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, who says that? Who says something so goddamn arrogant? Like, I know a lot of trivia. Okay, buddy. Okay. Well, yeah. So, and I said it, and I'm just like, oh God. Like, and it was like everyone laughed, and it was like, I'm like, no, I'm not. I wasn't joking. That was an actual real statement. But anyway, and I was just sitting there, and I'm like, God damn it, John. Why did you say that? You couldn't have. There's so many other things you could have said. So many other things you could have said. But you said that, like, oh, and I'm like, get John, like, because like my job's full of mouth breathers, and I'm like, there's an easy way I can move up so fast in this job if I just applied myself. If I just wanted to, I feel like if I just like said to one of these people in corporate, I'm like, hey, next like opening for like anything like that's like significant, like let me know. Like I would love to apply for it, and I would, because I'm just so goddamn cocky, and I went to college. I can fucking blow these fucking people out of the water. I'm like, if this is all the fucking bullshit you have over here, then I know I'm way better than this shit. So I know I can do shit up there. Like let me up on the fucking hill. Don't leave me on the base floor. Like fucking put me up fucking in corporate. Like give me a suit and tie, you cunts. And then they look back on this like, oh yeah, we should give John Clauser a fucking suit and tie and so he can call us a cunt. It's like that's exactly what we should be doing. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you understand? What can I? Oh God. Okay, so another thing. So like how I was talking about today, like how I was on set. And then I had to go get a car. So I'm doing this little bullshit thing. It's like this is one of the great things about. Let me tell you a great story about being a filmmaker. So when you're a filmmaker, sometimes you get lucky. People will give you money to legitimately make something for you, to make something for them. And it can be like a company. They want to make you a commercial. They want to make you a short. They want you to make something, right? They give you a budget, and they're like, hey, please, can you make this for me? I'm like, all right. So then when you make it, when you're first starting off, you have to build a team. So you find your makeup people, and these are like, you find one group of people, one or two different groups of people, and so like you always go to them. So like, because just in case if someone's has a job, they're doing a job that same weekend, you can have someone else. It's just one of those things. I loved having a assistant director. For me, like I'm a very intense person, and I'm the first one to admit that. I'm goal oriented. I get pleasure from getting things done. So the fact that like I was on set today, the fact that I had to go and get a rental car, bring back a car, even though these things are stressful, I get pleasure once I finish them, and I get a level of pride because I was an adult, and I was something. I was like a filmmaker. I was an adult. I was all these different things. I was responsible. I was doing these things, and I was able to have a begin point, a middle, and an end, and I've thought a full thought through, and just like for me, I thought this is what you have to do to be an adult. Like I just thought this is what I saw my parents do. I'm just trying to mimic it now, and I thought this is what you do. And so when totally lost all my thought. Totally lost all my thought on this. Totally lost all my thought. Well, I don't even know what we were talking about, to tell you the truth. Oh, got it. So sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so goddamn tired. I remember now. So when you're doing this stuff, I love having an assistant director. And the reason why, because like it's just like I'm oriented. Like I like to have someone who is like, I'm like, okay, your whole job is basically I'm gonna throw shit at you. I'm gonna say something. I'm like, okay, I need you to remind me of this at this time. Just write it down and then like make a timer. And like you're gonna help me do all that stuff and basically keep like a tool belt, this imaginary tool belt around me. And like you're gonna keep everyone away, so I can just focus on working on this. But you come to me and we talk, and then like I say my stuff, and then like then you go away and you gotta go and you do your thing and you come back and no one fucks with me, really, because like it's like it's so shitty and I hate it. But like as a director, you're so goddamn stressed because like you just really want this thing to look good, and you really have this like, whole thing where you're like you need to talk to only a certain amount of people because you really need to focus on these like fine minute little parts that are moving in your whole thing, in your whole film, in your whole commercial, in your whole shot. And anyway, so like I had to interview a couple people for this project, and it was so funny because the only reason why I'm even bringing this up is because like I was on set today and I was talking about it, and I was like, oh, you guys want to hear a funny thing that someone told me like when we were like right before I met him, because I had never met this person, and like she was interviewing with me to work to be my assistant director for this project, and she was going to get paid. I was going to pay her. I had a budget and everything. It was going to be legit shit. I love using that term because it's like I'm like, no, like I'm not wasting your time, man. It's legit shit. Like you're gonna get paid same day pay. The best thing I love saying, the best thing as a director that you can say, the best thing as a producer you can say is like a same day pay, because like you're gonna get so many more people to come, because like you're like, okay, you come, you're gonna be here for maybe 6-7 hours, you're gonna get paid the same time, and I'm gonna give you some cash, get the fuck out, and you can go. You're gonna be able to instantly put gas in your car for the bullshit you did today. You're gonna go buy some pot, buy some beer, maybe just save it up so you can put new tires on your car or wherever. I don't know what you want to do your thing. And so like I was like, hey, let's meet up, let's talk, let's get to know each other, let's see if like we could possibly do this. So this girl walked in. She's like, she texted me. She's like, hey, I'm here. I'm like, all right, perfect. She walked in and she's like, hey, are you John? I'm like, I'm John. And she's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey, I'm doing good. How are you? And she's like, well, my back hurts. It feels like I got fucked on a hardwood floor, but besides that, I'm doing great. Oh, by the way, I'm Carmen. And it's like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, well, that's great. Well, sit down. Let's have this conversation. All right. You might be the most coolest person in the entire world. But we're going to see. This is awesome. This is what makes good art, is weird people like you. So, cause I need someone weird like you, because I would never say that to people ever. So you might be the person I need to deflect everything away from me so I can do my work. I was like, oh, this is great. It was so funny. It was one of the greatest things in the world. One of the greatest things. Ended up going with someone else because they were way more professional, and I realized, oh yeah, I need someone who is more like me. Because I would never say that. I would never say that to a director, because like I want to get some work, and like I don't know. I always give with everybody. I give even the director, a grain of thought, the grain of salt that, hey, they're probably really good at the craft. The fact that they got here, or the fact that they were able to get some people to give them money to make a project. Like, yeah, like this is great. This is awesome. Like, yeah, like this person's trying at least. Like they're swinging. So let's give them a level of respect. And plus, filmmaking is extremely difficult. It's one of I think comedians are the hardest. I think that's the hardest. But I think filmmaking is right up there, because you're literally just taking pictures and motions and words, and you're trying to make people feel something. And like, even if like, think about it, the Academy this year, the film that won Best Picture, Coda. Are you going to really remember that movie in 2 years? Is it really that good? It was unique. But will you remember it? Like, will you be able to like quote things from it? I don't think so. And plus, too, it's a movie that's been made already, and it was also a book. So it was a French film, I believe, that got adapted, because it was also nominated for Best Adaptive Script, which is a very interesting thing. You have a category for Best Original Script, which is okay, I guess, maybe deserves it, but you don't have one for like comedy. I think that's weird, especially as a filmmaker, especially as like, there's a lot of filmmakers, a lot of directors that get their start in comedies, and that's usually like you do a comedy, and then the next movie is like your movie that you get like your big budget with, which is weird because everyone relates to comedy. Everyone wants to laugh. Everyone wants to be like, oh, that's funny, or versus saying, oh, that wasn't that funny, because you instantly hate something when it's not that funny, especially if it's trying to be funny. So we all have a strong opinion on comedy. So why would we not want to have a category of comedy? I don't know. It's weird, but yet we all watch stand up. A lot of stand up. It doesn't make fucking sense why we don't have a category for it at all in the Academy. But yeah. What am I even talking about at this point? This is what happens when you do a podcast so late at night and you have to talk for 30 minutes by yourself. And you're kind of like, then you looked over at 3 minutes, you're like, oh yeah, this is interesting. I should be like, yeah. Yeah. Huh. I don't even know what I oh, you guys want to know an interesting fact? I guess I can tell you guys another fact, and this would probably burn out the rest of the time. So, interesting thing about the Oscars. Do you know how the actual, the award got its name? Very interesting, very funny. So when they first started the whole thing, they're like, hey, we're going to make the Oscars. We're going to make this award ceremony where we celebrate all these achievements in filmmaking and art and makeup and costume design and all this stuff. We're going to put it all together into one show, and we're all going to look nice, and we're going to walk down this red carpet. We're going to take pictures, all this shit. Well, when you win in your category, well, they need to win something like a trophy, because that somehow has become as. I should literally Google that. Like, where did the trophy come from? Like, when did the idea of like having this be a monument to why we do it? Well, I would, but we only have like 2.5 minutes left, so I'm pushing on even telling you the story. So. They're like, well, we need to think of some sort of award, a thing to give for for winning best of whatever. So they have this statue, so that whatever the Oscar, what it looks like now, a guy holding a thing. So and they're like, and it was so funny, they had this intern, because it was like way back in the day, way back in the 1920s, because I believe that's when it started, because it's 100 years old. It's over 100 years old. So it had to have been in the 20s. Yeah, 2020, 21 or 22, 2020. Anyway, 2019. It was like 2019 or something like that. Or no, 1919. Anyway, long story short, these are all things you could literally easily Google up. They're not even like really fucking points of the story, just the fact that it's like a really old time ago. Well, they had an intern, and the girl walked in. She's like, oh, that looks like my Uncle Oscar. Boom. And that's where they got the name for the Oscar. Oscar was there. The award, the Oscar, is just fucking weird. It's like one of the worst. It's one of the most like what's the word? What's the word that you use? It's just such a you're like, okay, what would it be? Like, you think it's like some like guy who like died for like he saved somebody like on a film set and he died on it or something like that, or someone who got mauled by a bear on a film set, or someone who was like the first person to think of like some sort of like cool thing, and they call it like the Oscar trick or something like that. Maybe it's like a film trick or something. You think it'd be something like that, but you're like, no, nope. It is simply just because some intern was like, oh yeah, that looks like my Uncle Oscar, and they're like, oh, that would be it. That's gonna work for a great name. That's gonna work for a great name for our show. It's like, Jesus Christ. Well, anyway, guys, I have 5 seconds left. Don't you love how I was able to do a podcast and speak for 30 minutes and not even talk about Will Smith and Jada? Anyway, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Be safe, wash your hands, and yeah, we did it. I mildly only forgot halfway through this fucking podcast what the fuck I was talking about. And it's simply just because I'm like, God, what the fuck am I talking about? Because I'm like, I'm a man talking on a podcast by himself. Go watch Aaron and the Aaron and John show. New podcast is up. Our new episode is that up because he's in town for a little bit. All right, I'll see you guys on the next episode. On episode 111. Bye.